Hey, what's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? What's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? How y'all doing? I see you guys can see that the setup is a little bit different today for this live because it's we weren't expecting to go live this soon. We actually had something else planned for today, our normal kind of preview for these games. But given that this breaking news just came out, Marco and I decided that listen, we got to cover this story and we got to get to you guys a little bit earlier. So I'm going to give you guys my take on things. And I think I'm going to surprise a lot of you guys at the end of this live with what I'm going to say. So we know we didn't give you guys a lot of time to kind of prepare for this live. So we're going to give it 3 minutes this time to allow people to come in. Usually we wait about 5. Today we're going to give it 3 minutes, and then whoever catches up to the live will catch up to it. So let's just give everyone 3 minutes, and then we'll get it started. Excuse the background, but today's a different setup because it's a different circumstance. So it'll be fine. So make sure you guys hit the likes and get the notifications out. Again, for those of you guys that want to chat tonight for game 5, we're going to be online on Dreamerspro Max. Make sure you guys sign up to Dreamerspro Max. Marco's pinned that to the top there, and we're going to be chatting live. And so you can definitely do that during the game. So Marco's pinned that to the top, and you guys can definitely do that. And let's give it about another minute and a half before we start. Let's just give people some time to kind of catch up to this live because we didn't give everybody enough time. Usually we start a little bit later, but let's just give them some time. Yeah, also say it was good to Marco. Marco's also in here too. So let's just give it about another minute and 10 seconds or so, and then we'll get started. I see people are coming in, so let's just give it a little bit more time, and then we'll get started. Let's allow people to catch up to what we're doing here, and then we'll get it going. But trust me, my conclusion is going to surprise a lot of you guys. So trust me, I got my own take on it. So we like to give our own original takes. We posted a poll on the channel about a few hours ago, and close to 300 people already left the vote. So it seems like a lot of people have a lot of raw emotions about what's this news that just came out. So I think it would be definitely good to kind of go live today and talk about this. At least it's just a sprain. Yeah. We're gonna get to it. Don't worry. We're gonna get to it. Don't worry. Just a moment here while we kind of wait for everybody to kind of file in. Let's just give it a moment. Trying to prepare trying to just get the article ready. Okay, so let's go live. Whoever catches up will catch up to it. Make sure you guys hit the like so more people get notified about this live, and then we're going to go live right now. We're going to go live right now. Okay, so again, so you guys heard the news. I heard the news, and I really couldn't believe what I was hearing, that Kawhi Leonard would most likely miss game 5. Now, first of all, when I heard this news, I was totally surprised. Why was I surprised? Because at the end of game 4, Kawhi Leonard came out there and said that he'll be just fine. Next question. He said he's just fine. Next question. Even at the end of the game, I think they were interviewing him on ESPN. He said everything will be just fine. So some people said, what do you think about Kawhi Leonard possibly being injured and not playing? And I said to myself, there's no way that he doesn't play in game 5 because he just said he'll be fine. Now, obviously, he did check himself out of the game a little bit early. So that probably was a cause for pause, but I didn't think anything of it, to be quite honest with you. So when I got the news today, or just now as the news is coming out, that Kawhi Leonard will not be playing, it's like a shocking news to me. And I didn't quite expect it. Now, let me read you a report from the source that I got it from on ESPN. And ESPN is basically saying, they said The Clippers star will miss Wednesday's game against the Utah Jazz with a right knee injury and could be out for the remainder of the season. The Clippers announced Wednesday that Leonard suffered a right knee sprain in Game 4, and there's no timetable for his return. For those of you guys that want to read the article for yourself and just kind of check up on what I just said, I'm going to post that in the comment section towards the end of this live. You guys can go out there and check it out and read it for yourself, so you guys can make of it what you want. So immediately, with Kawhi Leonard going out, this is going to be a huge blow for the Clippers. Why is that? Because to win championships, you need stars. And if your best player is not available, that doesn't work in your favor. I'm sorry. Kawhi Leonard being out is definitely going to have a negative impact on the Clippers. There's just no two ways about it. You don't get to miss a player of that caliber and just walk, just keep, go on and be like, okay, well, it's going to be fine. Now, here's some of my raw thoughts. Some of my first thoughts are, how is this even possible? How is this even possible? Think about this. In these playoffs, Kyrie Irving got injured. James Harden has been injured. Anthony Davis was injured. LeBron James was more or less injured. I don't know what his status was. And now you're telling me that Kawhi Leonard is also going to be injured. And then on top of that, Chris Paul, who just made it to another conference finals at the age of 36, dropped 37 points in his last game. You're telling me that Chris Paul is going to miss games due to COVID protocols? What is going on? Like, what is going on? What is going on? And I personally think that the Chris Paul news is actually worse than the Kawhi Leonard news because Chris Paul is not injured. I can understand if Chris Paul was injured, then you can say, okay, he's not, he can't play because he got injured. But in this case, he's totally injured. I mean, he's totally fine. And now he can't play because of COVID protocols. If I'm Tyler, I will start Rondo and Boogie. My lineup will be Rondo, Pat, Bev, PG, Morris, and Boogie. Okay, thanks for that. So, first of all, what kind of bad luck is going on around the NBA? It's not just the Clippers, because I know there's some people out there that want to say, oh, the Clippers curse. So I guess, so what is the Brooklyn Nets curse too? Is the Suns curse? Is the Lakers curse? So many great players have been injured or been sidelined in this playoffs, which is quite tragic and depressing. Hell, even Mike Conley, who's an all-star for the Utah Jazz, has been injured. If you think about the Clippers, they're already missing Serge Ibaka, who had back surgery. So overall, I think is a mess. Those are my raw thoughts. Now let's get to the next question, because I see a lot of people in the comment section. The question is, can the Clippers survive without Kawhi Leonard? And I think we got to address this question a little bit closer. If you're saying, can the Clippers survive without Kawhi Leonard for the rest of the series or the playoffs? Hell no. Hell no. That's like, there's no chance. But if you're asking me, can they survive without Kawhi Leonard for one game? I think they can do that. I absolutely think that they can do that. Absolutely. Now, I hear some people panicking, which I understand. But let me say this. First of all, here's the worst case scenario for the Clippers. Let's say Kawhi Leonard misses this game. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure that he actually misses this game. Why do I say that? Because last night, I don't think it was I think James Harden was ruled out to play. It was like a maybe. And then all of a sudden you saw him on the court and Charles Barkley and these guys like, why is James Harden out here? So James Harden played. So there's a part of me that feels like there may be a way he does end up playing. So that's kind of one part of this. Here's the second part. Let's say Kawhi Leonard does miss this game. Okay, what happens? Let's say he does miss this game. I'm going to get to the conclusion of what I think about him. So I want you guys to stick around and what I think ultimately happens. But the next question becomes, can Paul George step up? Now, before we went live, Marco was asking me the same question. He was like, well, what about Paul George? And then he said, well, Paul George isn't Kevin Durant. Some people are talking about KD. There's only one KD. Paul George is not a top 5 basketball player in the world. By saying that Paul George can just step up, like, without a doubt, you do a disservice to KD because you make it seem like, okay, well, he can just step up to, like, he can just step up to the plate, like as if what KD just did is something anybody could do. There are only about 2, 3, or 4 players in the world that can put out a performance that KD did. Now, does Paul George have the talent? Absolutely. Does he have the talent? Absolutely. Will he do it? Well, that's the question. So we got to look back at the past of what Paul George has actually been able to accomplish this regular season when he didn't play with Kawhi Leonard. So if you guys remember, in the month of April, there was a stretch where Paul George played 12 games. Kawhi Leonard missed 6 games. He played 12 games in the month of April. In the month of April, in 12 games, Paul George averaged 27.5 points per game. He shot 48%. This is as the primary option, the number one option for the Clippers. This is without Kawhi Leonard. He averaged 27.5 points per game. He shot 48% from the field. He shot 41% from the 3. He shot 89% from the free throw line. He got you 7.4 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and 1.5 steals over a 12-game stretch. So it's not like as if it was just one game. And the Clippers were winning games, and they were beating some pretty good teams during that stretch. So has Paul George been in a situation where he's played without Kawhi Leonard? Absolutely. Now, has Paul George been in the playoffs and played without Kawhi Leonard? No, he hasn't. Talking about with the Clippers. Was Paul George the primary option in the Eastern Conference with the Indiana Pacers after these guys left him? Yes, he was. So Paul George has been the focal point of a team for a stretch of time. In this case, we're talking about, can Paul George step up for the Clippers tonight? Guys, I know some people are panicking and saying the world is over. I'm not in that group. Because if you kind of calm down, some of you calm down, take a breath, and look at the series record, it is 2-2. Tonight is not an elimination game. Guys, some of the guys need to calm down. It's not an elimination game. It is game 5. This series is tied. Kawhi Leonard has not been ruled out of the playoffs. I don't even think he got an MRI or anything like this. This could be precautionary. Some of the guys, there are a lot of guys watching. Calm down. Please do yourself a favor and just calm down. Like, I think people are jumping the gun way too much. It's game 5. It's not like as if the Clippers are down 3-1 or down 2-1. It's 2-2. So the Clippers can go to, what's this place? To Utah, lose game, lose game 5, and still be in the series because they still got game 6 at home. Number 1. Number 2, if they lose a game, if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play tonight, then what does that mean? It means that he gets an additional day of rest. He would have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and play on Friday. So it's not like as if he's not benefit. He'll get some rest. And I guarantee you, without a doubt, if Kawhi Leonard misses game 5 and the Clippers lose, he's going to play game 6. You know how I know? Because at that point, you have nothing to lose. Who wants to go into their offseason watching their team go down in a game 6 elimination game? You don't play because you're saving yourself for what? For next year? No, you play, you fight. So that's the first thing. So first thing, calm down. That's the first thing. Secondly, Paul George has shown that he can step up for this team. The question is, can he carry them for one game? Now, Paul George is an extremely talented player. I think personally, that when Paul George is going, like when he gets going, Paul George can hit you up for 50 points in a game. He's that talented. He can hit you up for 7, 8, 9 3-pointers in a game. I've seen him do it. That's number 2. Number 3, this Clippers team is not the Indiana Pacers team, number 1. And number 2, this is not the Clippers team of last year. Here's what I think going into tonight. I think the people that feel like the Clippers are done and it's over and it's a wrap, you're going to have a very rude awakening. This is what I believe. These are just my thoughts. I feel like a lot of people, and I think some of them are Laker fans, bitter Laker fans, to be quite honest with you. They just can't see anybody else get some shine. If it's not them, then it can be nobody else. Nobody else should eat. Rondo and Boogie need to have him in it. If it's not them, nobody else can eat. And I don't understand some Laker fans are very respectable, level-headed. Some are just weird. Like Snoop Dogg. Like what kind of fan, your team plays bad and you start threatening your team players on Instagram? Like, who does that? Yeah, you better play. Like, what is wrong with you? It's like, bro, you're not in Watts or whatever it is. Like, dudes, these are grown people you're talking to. You're talking to dudes that are not like, it's not like nobody, just because you see, like, nobody's afraid. Like, come on, cut it out. You got dudes coming from Brooklyn, like all of these different places. You better get it together. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, chill out. What is this? You're like 50 years old out there doing that. So I think that's weird. And any type of fan that starts cussing out their player, that's weird to me. So there's something like that. But let me say this. If your hope or if your thought is that the Clippers are going to go out there and fold and just give up, I think you got the wrong team in mind. This is not the same team of last year. I don't see any quit in this team. I've seen teams in this playoffs pack it in, like the Bucks, who played like garbage yesterday in the end of that game, going to Giannis Antetokounmpo, who can't even make free throws. Why would you even put the ball in his hand? He can't make free throws. He can make jump shots. So why are you going to him late in the game? You know, all you got to do is foul him. He's going to miss. So why would you even put? Anyway, they know what they're doing in Milwaukee. That's just a dumb team. But anyway, if you're hoping that the Clippers are going to give up, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Clippers are going to give up. Utah is going to be a very tough place to win. Why am I talking about the Clippers, the Lakers? Because it's my channel. It's our channel. That's why. The bigger question is, why are you watching? So, anyway, as I was saying, if they're hoping for the Clippers to come out there and just fail and just give up, I don't think that's going to happen. I personally don't think that's going to happen, and I think they're going to fight. That's the first thing. But here's what needs to happen. I think the Clippers need to rally together. I think they need to come together. They need to huddle up, and they really need to say to themselves, okay, it's us against the world now. Everyone expects us to lose. Everyone. Everyone is counting us out. Most people were not giving us a shot with Kawhi, and now they're definitely going to count us out. So hopefully they go into this game with a chip on their shoulder, which I'm very sure that they will, with players like Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris Sr., Paul George, and these guys. That's the first thing. I think that they're going to need to pick up the scoring for Kawhi Leonard, meaning if Kawhi Leonard is not playing, you're missing 30 points out of your offense. Tyler will make adjustments. Next man up. Yes, I agree with you, Candace. Exactly. I agree with you. Thanks for that. I agree with you. I think that the other players on this Clipper team need to step up and they need to score by committee. That's number 2. And I have a very good feeling that they will. Here's why. In game 4, if you guys realize, Marcus Morris Sr. scored like 20 points in the first half. So he's capable. Marcus Morris Sr. is very capable of giving you 25 points. What I think needs to happen is this. I think they need to find a way to score by committee. I think Reggie Jackson really needs to step up. And Reggie Jackson seems to be a gamer. I was wrong about Reggie Jackson. He doesn't seem to be afraid of the spotlight. Reggie Jackson looks like one of these players that sees a situation like this and says, Kawhi Leonard is out. I'm going to show y'all what I got. I think Reggie Jackson has that type of mentality. I think he's one of those guys that says to himself, I can give you 30. Exactly, JCV. I can give you 30. He's certainly talented enough to do it. So I think he's going to need to step up. I think Marcus Morris Sr. is going to need to step up. I think Nicholas Batum is going to need to step up because they got to make up for those points that they're going to lose from Kawhi Leonard. I think personally, if Kawhi doesn't play, obviously Tyronn Lue is going to need to make a decision as far as who's going to replace him in the starting lineup. Here's my personal recommendation. I think if Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, I think they should start Terrence Mann for Kawhi Leonard. This is what I think. And I think they should keep Terrence Mann for his playmaking ability, for his ability to play on both sides of the ball, to be a slasher, but it's also his ability to play defense and really allow them to keep switching. I think Terrence Mann should start in place of Kawhi Leonard because I wouldn't start Patrick Beverley to come up to start in the game. I would keep him to come up in that second unit. And I think this could be a coming out party for Terrence Mann because what I've noticed with Terrence Mann is whenever he plays with the team, usually good things happen. Thanks, Clement. They won't give up, but it's tough to win in Utah. Utah won 35 of the last home game that Mitchell has played, and Clippers haven't won in 2 years. I totally agree. Thanks for that. It's a tall order, but this is the circumstance you find yourself in. It's a tall order, but this is the circumstance you find yourself in. It is what it is. Thanks for that. So I think they'll need to start Terrence Mann. Here's some things now that I think need to happen. I already told you what needs to happen if he doesn't play. Now let's talk about what needs to happen, assuming Kawhi Leonard doesn't play in this game. I think the Clippers are going to have to do something that they're not accustomed to doing. They did it last game. I haven't seen them do it. Of all the games they played in the playoffs, I think it was the first time I've seen them do it. The Clippers need to get off to a very good start in Utah. They just need to. I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe they're going to come out and play some inspired basketball. I don't know what's going to happen. They need to try to come out and come out to a good start. They need to. And if you start a player like Terrence Mann, who's going to be excited to be there, who plays with a lot of passion, who plays with a lot of energy, who plays with a lot of enthusiasm, you know he's going to be pumped up to be in that starting lineup and be out there and make his guys proud. So I think the Clippers need to start off this game, and they need to start off well early. This is my first kind of thing that I think needs to happen. And if they can get a lead, hopefully they try to hold on to it. Who will guard D. Mitch without Kawhi? Thanks for that, Deuce Don. I would have to put Terrence Mann. To answer your question, Deuce Don. Ryan, this game 5 will define Paul George's legacy tonight. If he goes off and win, no doubt he will get over a mental hump. Very true. And I'm going to get to Paul George. 100% correct. Very true. And I'm going to get to Paul George in a second. Thank you for that. And Deuce Don, thank you for your question. Thank you for your question. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they need to stick to the game plan and try to slow down Donovan Mitchell. Here's why. Because if Donovan Mitchell comes out in that first quarter and hits 3 or 4 3-pointers, and the Clippers are not keeping pace as far as making shots, it can be over quickly. As they said, it's an insane asylum. As they said, the Clippers haven't won there in 2 years. You don't want to go down early in that arena. You just don't. So Donovan Mitchell is usually the driving force. He's the one that makes the engine go. And also, there may be a possibility, because this is human nature. There's a human nature aspect of this, guys, which is this. We as human beings, and the Jazz are not exempt, we sometimes play down to our competition, or we relax when we feel like things are going to be easy for us. The Utah Jazz may also look at the Clippers and say that these guys must be emotionally distraught right now, that their best player is not going to play, And they may feel like all they got to do is come out there and just play, and the Clippers are going to roll over for them, and they're going to beat them. That can also happen because it's human nature. It's human nature. Whenever we feel like the pressure's not there, we tend to relax because we feel like, okay, things are going to go our way. That can also happen. These are human beings. And it's part of human nature. It's how we are for whatever reason. People tend to relax when they feel like there's no pressure. It's just how it is. That can be another aspect. So they need to try to slow down Donovan Mitchell. The Clippers will need to hit threes in this game. It's just that simple. The Utah Jazz attempted 44 3-pointers last game. I think they made 18 or 19. The Clippers are going to need to make threes. Why? Because they need to keep pace with this team. They need to make threes because the Utah Jazz, no matter if they're down, they're going to keep shooting threes and they're going to make a decent percentage of them. They led the league in three-point attempts and they led the league in three-point makes. But they were top 5 in three-point shooting and three-point shooting percentage. Although the Clippers were the number 1 team in three-point shooting. Clippers took less, made, according to their ratio, made a little bit more. So the Clippers are going to need to be able to keep score, which means that players are going to need to knock down shots. Players like Nicholas Batum, players like Marcus Morris Sr., Paul George, Terrence Mann. If Patrick Beverley comes in the game, he needs to make shots. If Luke Kennard is going to play in the game, he needs to make shots. They need to make shots. You just got to keep scoring on this team. As you saw in Game 4, the Utah Jazz were making a run. And the Clippers needed to keep making shots. In a situation like this, if they get up early, they need to find a way to keep scoring. Because in one of those games in Utah, they were up, I think 15 or something like that. Utah came back on them. But then also they were down, and then they came back. So that's something that needs to happen. They need to make threes so they can hold on to a lead. Deuce. Fun fact, PG has a career high of 48 points against the Utah Jazz. Best believe he will come up with a vengeance. And thanks for that, Deuce. I'm actually going to get to Paul George in a few seconds. Another thing the Clippers will have to try to do is try to limit turnovers. The moment you start turning over the ball and the Utah crowd starts to get into it and they start getting pumped up and they start getting layups and all of this different stuff, that's when things start going downhill. That's when that place gets deafeningly loud. And then if you don't have a strong mind, you're going to get overwhelmed by it. So they need to limit those turnovers and those back-breaking turnovers. They need to almost play a perfect game. And I think the Clippers are a mentally strong team. So I think they're going to be able to play together, assuming they trust each other. Which brings me to Paul George, to Deuce to Don's point. Let's talk about Paul George. Guys, this is a moment for Paul George. This is a moment for Paul George. This is a moment for Paul George, and I'll tell you why. If the shoe were on the other foot and Kawhi Leonard was the one without Paul George, people would expect Kawhi Leonard to go out there and score 40-something points to win that game. They would. It's just how it works. Look at Kevin Durant. He had a 49-point triple-double, a 47-point triple-double. It was unheard of. He played out of his mind. He put up one of the best performances I've ever seen. So Paul George tonight, I hate to say it, PG is going to need to score at least 40 points tonight. Is Paul George capable of scoring 40 points? Deuce to Dawn just pointed that out. He did score 48 points. However, he needs to score an efficient 40-plus. He can't have 40 with 30 shots. He needs an efficient 40. Paul George is going to need to make up for Kawhi Leonard. Him and Kawhi Leonard in both of these last two games have combined for 60-plus points in both games. So PG is going to need to score a little bit more to make up for the absence of Kawhi Leonard, and some of the other role players need to score a little bit more because remember, you're removing 30 points from your scoring. You remove Kawhi Leonard, you've removed 40 points. 40 points. So you got to make that. This is just mathematics. Whoever has the most points at the end win the game. KD, the best player in the world when healthy. I can't. It's hard to argue with you. I think the three best players in the world are LeBron, KD, and Kawhi. And I think whoever you want to pick them. If you want to pick LeBron James, no problem. If you want to pick KD, no problem. If you want to pick Kawhi, no problem. I think those are the best three because they have different things that make them unique. Kawhi and Kevin Durant are not the playmaker that LeBron James is. You hear Chauncey Billups is working with Paul George for his playmaking skills, point guard skills. LeBron James was born with that talent. He came into the NBA with that talent in his back pocket. That's LeBron James. But is LeBron James the scorer that KD is? Hell no. Is Kawhi Leonard the scorer that KD is? No, he's not. He can keep pace with him in the playoffs, but in the regular season, Kawhi Leonard is not going to do that. Now, is KD and LeBron the defensive player that Kawhi Leonard is? Hell no. And also, shout out to Kawhi Leonard for making that all NBA first team. I was surprised. Shout out to Kawhi Leonard. Shout out to LeBron and these guys. Shout out to Paul George, all of these guys for making those all NBA teams. So shout out to them. They did their thing. Shout out to Luka Doncic, Stephen Curry, and all of these guys that made it. Some people got left off, but I can't argue with the guys that were on there. Some people that should have been on there, like KD, you missed too many games. So you miss a lot of games. I don't see how you can give it to somebody else that didn't make it. Obviously, it made a lot of sense to get this guy on there. So shout out to some of the people that made it on that on the all NBA team. So Paul George is going to need to score at least 40 points tonight. He's perfectly capable of doing it. The problem is, will the moment and the pressure hinder him from doing that? Marvin Acosta, Mr. Charles, do you believe the Clippers can win the next two if they play great defense and keep making shots? Love the channel. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that question in the super chat. Here's what I think can happen. If the Clippers win tonight, that will be psychologically devastating. Psychologically devastating for the Utah Jazz. People don't realize there's actually pressure on Utah. The pressure is now completely shifted to Utah. Because if Utah loses and Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, what does that say about the Utah Jazz? What does that say about the Utah Jazz? Not like it says that these guys are not serious. So if they lose, you know, number one, they're not a very serious team. Number one. Number two, it will give the Clippers momentum in game 6. Now, Kawhi Leonard, I believe, will play in game 6. This is just my personal opinion. But if they lose, and Kawhi, like they will lose on Friday. They will lose. It will be a missed opportunity. They will lose. You can book it. They're going to lose. Because it will show me that this team, they're not serious. They don't have any killer will. You have a team when they're down, and then you don't beat them. Yes, we need 20 plus from Red. I agree with everything you said. Kennard, I'm not so sure, but Nicholas Batum, I definitely think can make up for that. Thanks for that, Alonzo. So, yeah, the question with Paul George is not his talent. The question is, can he step up to this moment and the pressure? That's what remains to be seen. Now, I'm saying what I think he needs to do, but if he's going to go out there and score 40 points, remains to be seen. He hasn't done it yet. He did it that one time, but he hasn't done it yet. What the refereeing in the first 5 minutes of the game tell you how to? Yes, it will. Thanks for that, Ryan. If the referees allow them to play physically, then it's going to be a physical game. It's going to be a dogfight. Aha! Thank you for that. You just pointed out something to me. I think that the Utah Jazz players are going to try to bully, let's say, Paul George. Because of all the players on that Clippers roster, I feel like that's the guy that they feel like they can affect mentally. Did you see anybody talking trash to Kawhi? Joe Ingles and all? Did you see them? Did you see anybody walk up to Kawhi Leonard and start talking trash to him? Did y'all see any of them? I didn't see any of that. They're not going to talk trash to Kawhi Leonard. They know better. They never will. Kawhi Leonard is the only player that I don't see people trash talk to. It's like trash talking Kobe. It's like, are you crazy? Who do you know trash talks Kobe and it ended well for them? You don't trash talk Kobe. Last time Kobe Bryant got trash talking in a playoff game, he dropped 48 points on the Denver Nuggets because J.R. Smith was trying to be cute. You don't trash talk Kobe. I think they're going to try to trash talk PG for sure. I think they're going to try to trash talk PG. Shams, Clippers fear NBA All-Star Kawhi Leonard has suffered an ACL injury. He is out indefinitely. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see. So those are my thoughts on Paul George. I think it's going to be very tough because I think the Utah Jazz are going to be looking to capitalize on this moment. If they have the killer will, that's what they will do. You see a team right now that news is coming out now, according to some of the things that people are posting, that Kawhi Leonard has a torn ACL, and you don't seize the moment, then I don't know what to say. Now, if it's true that Kawhi Leonard does have a torn ACL, let me just pull it up here. Let me see. Torn ACL recovery time. Let me see. With a torn ACL, what is the time to rehabilitation return from torn ACL? Oh, wow. If it is a torn ACL and it's true, then that means that Kawhi Leonard's season is over because it's saying it takes between 6 to 9 months. Now, I don't know that. I don't know that because the Clippers were very quiet about this yesterday. So I don't know that. But that doesn't have anything to do with today's game. The Clippers can still win today. I don't know if it's true. But if it is true, then it's going to be tough for the Clippers. Now, I don't know if Kawhi Leonard will play or not because the Clippers have been very quiet, number one. Number two, if it is an ACL, for the people that are celebrating, if it is a torn ACL, for the Stephen A. Smiths in the comment section, the beat reporters that are laughing, why would the Clippers say day-to-day? Why wouldn't they just come out and say it's a torn ACL? Why wouldn't they just come out and say it? Why would they say day-to-day? Why would they be putting out different reports? Now, people celebrated, oh, Kawhi Leonard got hurt and blah, 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 blah. I think that kind of speaks to your kind of personality, what type of person you are. But let me say this for the people that are laughing at Kawhi Leonard, if it is true. 1 second. Let me just do something for the people that are laughing at him. For the people that are laughing at Kawhi Leonard, let me just give you guys some funny information. Okay. So for the people that are laughing at Kawhi Leonard, I got the new J. Cole album. And there's a song on that album. What's the song on that album? That song is called, on the new J. Cole album, it is called Applying the Pressure. And J. Cole got a very funny line in that song. He goes, if you're laughing at a millionaire, the joke is on you. So guys, the people that are sitting there laughing at Kawhi Leonard, and I don't believe it's true, by the way. I just believe it's just a bunch of people speculating. You're laughing at somebody that's worth $100 million and you're laughing at him? That's the guy you're laughing at? You're laughing at somebody that's worth $100 million. And you believe the joke is on him? First of all, if you had $100 million, you wouldn't be watching this live stream. So if you're laughing at Kawhi, you got to look yourself in the mirror, man. That's pretty sad that you're laughing at somebody that got injured and you're getting pleasure out of somebody's downfall that they got injured. That's super lame. I remember when KD was in the finals and KD tore his Achilles in the finals. Some of the crowd was cheering. Serge Ibaka had said, no, we don't do that. Like, where we at? You cheering for people that took, like, what's going on? So if that's what you're doing, you got to look in the mirror, man. That's super lame. So just wanted to say that. If you're laughing at somebody get hurt, that's super lame to me. So just want to throw that out there. Keep your energy where it's at. We don't need that over here. Hopefully, if Marco finds you, he can block you because we don't need that type of energy on our channel. Anyway, here's what I think is going to happen tonight. Let me kind of conclude. Here's what I think is going to happen tonight. Thank you guys for being here, by the way. I think, this is just me, I could be wrong. I have this feeling that the Clippers are going to rally together And I have the feeling that the Clippers are going to go into Utah and win Game 5. This is what I believe. I believe they're going to go into Utah and win Game 5. And I'll tell you why I believe that. Here's my number one reason for believing that. I don't trust the Utah Jazz mental toughness. I still have questions about the Utah Jazz's mental toughness. I don't think they're as tough as they portray themselves to be. I don't believe so. It's like looking at the tough guy that's always, twisting his face. And then a fork drops and then he jumps up and starts screaming. It's like, what? What happened? I say that to say this. Donovan Mitchell and these guys look very, very confident when they were leading. The moment they started making mistakes, they started kicking Gatorade cans and smashing things and all of this. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened here? You don't seem very mentally strong. I'm not sure that the Utah Jazz are that mentally tough because you know what? They haven't proven it yet. Last time I checked, they're in the exact same boat as the Clippers. And the last time I checked, none of those players on that roster have championship experience. Real championship experience. I don't think any of them have been to the finals. So I'm not willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Are they the favorites to win at home? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. If they were betting favorites, they would probably have a 10-point spread. Who knows? But I just don't trust them because I've seen them get flustered. Regarding the Chris Paul thing, somebody said Chris Paul tested positive for COVID. I don't even know what's going on. If you're telling me that he tested positive, is it that when he walked up into the stands and he hugged his family, that's when he caught it? So help me understand something. If Chris Paul did test positive for COVID, and I think they were playing in Phoenix, Arizona, that means that there are people in the crowd that have COVID, which means that the Phoenix Suns were allowing people in the crowd to come in that had COVID, and they were allowing fans in the arena. Does that make sense to you? How does that make any sense to you? If there was a possibility for people to have COVID, why would the Phoenix Suns be allowing fans in their games? Does this make sense to you? So if he did catch it, my question is, where? Some people are saying he caught it when he went into the stands. That means those people had COVID. So if they had COVID, how did they even get into the arena? Did they do like the check, the nasal checks and all of this? I don't know what's going on. With this whole thing, you end up scratching your head more than there's so many question marks around this whole thing that I don't even know, to be honest with you, what's going on. I have no idea what's going on with that. But I think the Clippers are going to win tonight. This is my ultimate verdict. I think the Clippers are going to win tonight. I think that when they win, what's today? Wednesday. I think Kawhi Leonard comes back on, for Friday's game. I still have a feeling that the Clippers can beat this team because I just don't trust the Utah Jazz. Number one. Number two, the Clippers have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talented players that can shoot. Now they can go into Utah and get blown out, but I don't see that happening. Now, if it does happen, I'll be wrong. Now, if it does and they win, I don't think anybody here will be celebrating. Oh, the Clippers lost. The Clippers lost. But what do you expect to happen? Their best player didn't play. There's a reason why this guy's their best player. There was somebody that left a very naive comment on the channel. Oh, suck it up. Suck it up. Blah, blah, blah. Your best player. Blah, blah, blah. Suck it up. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like going to war and your general is not there with you. Who do you think is supposed to be leading all of these soldiers? Like, how does it work? You need good players to win titles. Go look back at the last champions that won a title. They all had top 10 players. Show me the team that won a title in the last 10 years. They didn't have at least one top 10 player. Show me the team. Who's the team? The Lakers had AD and LeBron, who people feel are the top 5 players in the NBA. Then you had the what do you call it? the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard. Then you had the Golden State Warriors, KD and all of these guys. Then you got the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James, Kyrie. Like, what are we talking about here? Oh, suck it up. Like, yo, cut it out. This is crazy right now in the NBA. The most injuries in all the playoffs in NBA history. In retrospect, Adam Silver messed up. I don't know what's going on with the NBA, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on with the NBA and the state of affairs of things. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where things are. I just don't know. I just don't know what's going on with the NBA, to be quite honest with you. I just don't know what's going on with the NBA. Now, I'm looking. Some people are reporting this news. Just give me a second. I'm going back to ESPN.com, and I'm waiting to see if I can hear anything. I want to see if any news has come out. ESPN hasn't reported anything. ESPN hasn't reported anything. They're saying Kawhi Leonard, just a moment. Whirlwind, Kawhi Leonard held card, blah blah. Kawhi Leonard, yeah, they haven't really said anything. They haven't really said anything apart from the fact that he's missing. I don't know where the people are getting this other information from. I'm not seeing that. Shams reported it. Well, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't. No, I'm not on. Guys, I don't use Twitter, so I wouldn't know. Okay, that's probably how you guys are hearing it. Yeah, I'm not on Twitter. So okay, I see what you guys are saying. I see what you guys. Yeah, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't. No, I don't have the time. I don't have the strength for Twitter, man. No. I don't have the strength for Twitter. No way. Okay. I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. So listen, I think the Clippers are going to win tonight, and we'll have to see. But those are my thoughts. If Kawhi Leonard ultimately is injured and he's done for the playoffs, then I don't see the Clippers winning the title. That I don't see happening. But if they somehow advance in this series and Chris Paul doesn't play, they can somehow get to the finals. Now, if it's a torn ACL, he's not coming back. If it's a sprain, he'll come back. You know, I think if it's a sprain, let me see. How long does it take? 1 second. How long does it take? To recover from an ACL sprain? 1 second. Well, it's not really saying here. It just says you just need to rest, compression, and elevation. So we got to see. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for that. Those are my thoughts. on the game. Again, if you guys want a live chat tonight, you guys know where we're going to be. You can sign up to Dreamerspro Max at the top there and live chat with us tonight for the game. And if they lose, as I said, if Kawhi Leonard does get injured, as I said before, going into the playoffs, sometimes luck plays a role. This has nothing to do with being a good player. You just got to get lucky. Some people are talking about, I'm successful because I'm so smart. No, y'all's the luck. Luck also plays a role. This has nothing to do with being great. Some teams just get a bad break. And if that's how it does end, it's a very, very, very depressing way to go out this series. Thanks for that, Ryan. It's a very, very depressing way to end the series. But you just move on. Is it an opportunity missed? Yes, but you can say the same for so many people. So those are my thoughts on it, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll definitely catch you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for that. Catch you guys later. Thank you guys. Catch you guys later.